traveling to South Korea, I just stumbled upon the community page on booking.com when they typed, like, who is traveling at this period. I'm traveling to South Korea and I would love, like, a companion to travel with. If you're traveling to South Korea at this time, just hit me up. This is my Instagram handle. Luckily for me, I was able to meet a girl that was coming from London, but we met up in South Korea. The 2 weeks I stayed in South Korea was so much fun because...
Hi guys, it's Margery here again. If you're new to this channel, my name is Margery. So guys, today's video we are going to be combining two things I love: traveling and talking about finance, how to better your finances. But your girl loves to travel. At least so far I've been to 4 countries. It might not sound as much, but I love to travel and I'm hoping to travel next year. So don't be surprised when you start seeing traveling vlogs on this channel, because I love to document everything. But so far, like I've said, I've traveled to 4 countries and I thought to use my experience of how I was able to plan and save for those trips to help you, give you like the necessary tips that can help you plan and save for your travel, especially if you are one that have, like, either a low budget or a high budget. All the tips I'm going to be sharing in this video will be helpful to you, so I hope you stay tuned to the end while we go through each and every one of them together. So see ya.
So guys, last year I was able to go to Thailand after watching so many movies. Like I told you earlier, movies usually carry me to these countries. So last year I finally went to Thailand because I've always wanted to go. And just like how I went to South Korea, but Thailand was a different experience for me because, what you might consider luxury in other countries was not, very luxurious in Thailand. Especially like the fact that I wanted to experience both the rich life and the middle class life, just in the type of hotels I booked, the type of places I ate and all that. But Thailand offered a very cheap option for, even the middle class option that I chose. I was regretting why I decided to even book the high end hotels and all that, because even the middle class ones was very luxurious. I loved it so much. In this video I'm going to be telling you about 7 different steps that I think helped me to plan a very successful trip. At least now I'm back almost 1 year later, or let's say 6 months later, because I went in October 2022 and now this is May 2023. But I still keep reliving the memories I experienced in Thailand because it was so magical. But this was because I had a clear budget. I knew every step of the way of what I wanted to experience, what I could afford, basically, what my plans were. So having a very detailed plan will help you to know what your trip is going to be like. If you're going to enjoy it, this depends on the plan you also have. I told you that I'm going to be traveling next year to another country, but I did not just want to give it away instantly at that moment. But basically I'm going to be traveling to Japan, so which has inspired my this shirt I got from Thailand. But since anime is Thailand, I decided, why don't you combine the two of them together? Because your girl, we are discussing travel. I'm planning Japan next year. It's a good fit, right? Let's just go. So guys, the very first tip I'm going to be giving you when you need to plan and save for a trip, or save and plan for a trip, is plan your vacation in advance to avoid panic buying. Guys, this one is very important because let's say now this video will come out obviously before summer, but if you are one that does not have the money saved yet and you're planning to start your saving, this video might be useful for you next year. It will be much more advisable that, depending on the period next year when you want to travel, it will be very much advisable that you start planning your trip from now. Let's say you're planning to travel before summer of next year. Now is the best time to even start having it in mind, start saving. Especially just create a separate account, start putting in money there for your trip. So planning ahead, if possible, booking your ticket way ahead of time. But that one, I think, is more advisable to wait till 5 months or 6 months to the date of your trip. Don't, if you book 1 year ahead, I've noticed, because like I told you earlier, I want to go to Japan, right? Just the same thing as last year. If you check now for the flight of a trip you are going for next year, the price is usually very ridiculous. So don't even try it. Just wait for 5 or 6 months before your trip, then you can now book for your ticket. But from now, you have to start saving, creating that account that you need to start dropping money every month, every week, however your income comes. Just making sure you start planning ahead. like have it in your mind. Every step you have to, you know, consciously put your trip in mind. In how you're spending, you have to remember, okay, I'm planning for a trip, how do I spend less, how do I cut back, you know, those kind of things. So planning ahead is a very important tip, especially to avoid panic buying, because when the time comes very close to like that period you're traveling and you now start making your plans, you're already late, flights have already, you know, like skyrocketed, hotels, especially if you are one that wants to travel during the summer period is a panic buying period. If you even want to avoid the panic buying period, and let's say you want to now travel after summer, you find that you get cheaper deals, because like last year now, maybe that was why my trip to Thailand was very inexpensive, because I went in October, so like summer had just finished, people were not really traveling as much, but they were still traveling, not as much. But you see that things now become, everything now comes down, prices of hotels, flights now become cheaper. Another thing is, when booking your flights, there are so many options of, you know, where to book your flights cheaper. Make sure not to go directly to the airline's web page before you start booking your ticket. Just check around Skyscanner, even using incognito on your phone, and just using different countries as, you know, your location before you book your trip. All these are ways to, like, you know, cut back on your expenses. So having these things in mind is the first step. That means, you know, planning your vacation and just starting the step in the first place should help you to know, you know, what you need to do. The second point I'm going to be raising in this video, or the second point that I feel would be very helpful to you, is know what you are expecting on your trip. So let's say now, on the general notes, do you want luxury? Do you think you want just, you know, you just want to go to this country, explore the minimal, or do you want to experience luxury? Because for me, going back again to Thailand, I wanted to experience both the luxurious side of things and the, you know, like the normal side of things. So I basically went for, like, you know, a mix of both. But some people will just concentrate on only the luxurious side, or some people will say, oh no, I don't have that much money, and concentrate on the other side of things. So just knowing what you want to expect on your trip, be intentional about it. Do I want to try out all the local restaurants? Do I want to just, you know, live as a local in that country? It will help you to know how to, you know, plan your trip and know how to plan your finances, most especially, and, you know, other things that, you know, just come to traveling. But being intentional and knowing what to expect on your trip is very important for you. So that is the second tip. Now for the third one, like I mentioned earlier about, you know, starting your savings from now if you're planning to travel for next summer, making sure that you open a savings account that is separate for this trip, for this your plan, is very important. Because let's say you now decide to, like, you know, save for this your trip, but the money you're saving for your trip is in your day-to-day account. Eventualities happen, one occasion or the other might happen, and you end up putting your hand into this money, and then your trip, you now end up postponing it again. So setting up a separate account for this your trip will help you to, like, you know, have a better experience, have a better or a clearer view of what to expect on this your trip, on what, you know, your trip is going to be like. So setting aside a special savings account for your trip will help you to better achieve, you know, whatever you're planning to save for this trip that you're making plans for. So for the fourth one, this one is for you that, you know, maybe you are planning this trip on a low budget and you can't afford the luxurious hotel or even any hotel in general. Deciding to use Airbnb, at least this platform has options for everybody. Everybody now knows what Airbnb is and how it has been saving lives. Let's say you're even traveling with a group of friends, you can decide to use Airbnb, just rent an apartment or a 3-bedroom flat. This will help you to cut down on your costs, most especially. Depending on the country you're even going to, even using websites like booking.com will help you to know. You just basically streamline your, you know, your budget. This is what I can afford for your hotel. There's an option for you to bring out all the options you have. So using either Airbnb or platforms like booking.com will help you to, you know, reduce your cost, reduce your budget. It will just provide for you, like, the options for whatever budget you have for this. Let's say for accommodation especially, because now we're talking about Airbnb. For flight, this is going to be different because now you have to check platforms like Skyscanner. I'm going to be putting a list of some of them that I know here. You can check on them first, knowing, like, you know, what price range they offer for flights. Because if you go directly to the website of these airlines, let's say Qatar, Emirates, without really having an idea of if you can get cheaper options, it will not help with you that is planning this your trip on a low budget. So checking up on these options, Airbnb, like homestay, there are so many options like this will help you to streamline your budget. But if you are going for the luxurious one, obviously this is not going to be your problem. You don't have to budget and whatnot. You can always go for the high end. There are different options. Even booking.com, you find like the most luxurious places on this planet is on that platform. So just knowing where you fall into, whether low budget or you don't bother about the income, will help you to know how to plan your trip better. So for this fifth one, this one still ties back to what I just talked about, using booking.com to book your hotel. This part of booking.com is one thing I'm so excited about. I love so much. I used it for my trip to South Korea. I used it for my trip to Thailand. So on booking.com, you find that there's a community tab. So on this community tab, it now streamlines it to different countries. So this community is very effective in the sense that you can even meet people that are traveling to the same location as you. You can make friends on these platforms or on this community tab. Just let's say you are traveling, like when I was traveling to South Korea. So I think it's better to use examples of how I use this platform. So when I was traveling to South Korea, I just stumbled upon the community page on booking.com. When they typed who is traveling at this period, I'm traveling to South Korea and I would love a companion to travel with. If you're traveling to South Korea at this time, just hit me up. This is my Instagram handle, let's go from there. Luckily for me, I was able to meet a girl that was coming from London. Me, I'm coming from Nigeria, but we met up in South Korea. I got there a day before her, but the 3 weeks I stayed in South Korea, the 2 weeks I stayed in South Korea was so much fun because I had this girl that I just met on this platform. Luckily, the platform seems to help to some extent with security checks, but you can't completely be careless and not make your own checks, because especially using their social media platform, look through the page, know what this person is about before you meet up on the person, because you can't be so secure out there, especially with crazy people moving around these days looking normal. But just do your own security checks. But this platform basically helps you to make friends online before you go on your trip, so making your trip easier, instead of, especially if you're traveling solo, it made my life easier, and it can definitely make your life easier. So instead of looking for someone that you're not having to spend extra money to go on a trip with you just to make your trip fun, these platforms can help you to meet people that are going to these countries at the same time as you. Maybe not the same city, but you guys can decide to meet up, and from there you can make friends. Like that girl now, I went to South Korea in 2019, but till date we are still friends, and that is how you can also make friends internationally. Let's say I go to London now, I know that I have a friend that I can always meet up. So using platforms like booking.com, the community tab, will help you to make friends that will make your trip more fun. So put it into your plan when you're planning for your next summer trip. This next one, it was quite interesting, especially for my trip to Thailand. And Asians, they love to eat seafood a lot, right? But me, I'm not really a seafood person, or I don't really generally like seafood apart from prawns and shrimps. That is my limit. But going to Thailand, exploring local markets, just using the daily methods in which people in that country use for their transportation, their feeding, their general lives, it made my life a whole lot easier. So let me put this into perspective. Before going to Thailand, right, I had a detailed list of everything I was going to spend, both my feeding, my daily feeding, because I stayed in Thailand for 3 weeks, right? Every day, the money I was going to spend for feeding, I had the money equivalent. But getting to Thailand, it was quite surprising to me that the money I had planned for a day's trip was generally enough for me to spend for 3 days trip. Let's say I planned 1,200 bahts for a day. You can convert this into your currency just to give you a perspective. I planned 1,200 baht for a day, both including transportation, feeding and everything, into this amount. But getting to Thailand, because I did not decide to be stocked up and be using cab every day, or I did not decide to take the easy route and be using easy transport or going to highbrow restaurants and everything. I wanted to experience the culture. I wanted to be part of the people. I wanted to know what the people are like, how they feel, just being part of the country will help you to enjoy your trip more. So I decided to use public transportation at some point. Sometimes I even use like the bike, sometimes I use the tuk-tuk, sometimes I use the car, sometimes I use the the buses. So having a mix of experience will help you to like reduce your cost while giving you like an unforgettable travel experience. This same goes for the food. Like in Thailand, I went to Chak market. Like this was so much fun. I never expected it to be that fun. I tried all the local snacks, local drinks, local food. Even for someone who did not like like seafood, I became so adventurous. So make sure to put trying out local like experiences into your plan or for your next summer trip. This will spice up your trip and make your trip an unforgettable one. So make sure you put your local exploration into your plan for your next trip. So this final tip, this one is very good and it's just as much as the last one I talked about, using local transportation and whatnot. Making local friends. This one is so interesting to me because now I feel like from just the 4 countries I've gone to, I feel like I have friends in all parts of the world, because I'm not limiting my friendship to whether you're from that country or whether you're from another country or whether you came on a holiday just as me. Like, making friends is a very good way to like absorb the culture, and especially when you decide to make friends with people that are from that country, you get to understand like what do they think, what how they view their country, how the country is like to them, because now you're just coming to stay like for 2 weeks, 3 weeks and you're gone. But these people, they live there, their life is completely surrounded by this country that you have gone to visit. So making friends with locals will help you to know even all the places that that are not touristy, that people don't really go to, but because you have this friend that is local to that country, they can show you like exclusive places that will make your trip an unforgettable one. Trust me from experience, making local friends will make your life way easier, not only in buying things, but having the best of experiences. So these tips, like these experiences of mine have brought me to give you this tip that have made my trip so far. I go to these places, come back happier, and now I can tell people like you have to go and explore Asia. Don't think that America and Europe is all there is to the world. Like, Asia is so much fun. And now, like I said, I'm going back to Japan. Like, what's anime that I cannot become a fan of? After all, like Sunday love has made me to love anime already. But me now wanting to explore Japan is of my own will, and coupled with the things I've seen about Japan, and I know it's going to be an exciting trip for me next year, because just like I'm advising you now with this like 7 to 8 points I've just presented to you, I'm going to still apply it on my next trip, because your girl does not want stress. I don't want to go and be stuck in another person's country, but having a detailed plan will help you to have an unforgettable trip of your life. So guys, I hope these tips were helpful. I hope you join the family, because next year I'm zooming off to Japan. If you're interested in the Japan trip, my Instagram handle is in the description box. You can join me, we can plan it together. Japan all the way next year. But guys, note that whenever I want to travel, I'd like to travel at a different time compared to like everybody, because I want to have the best of my trip. Summer is usually packed with so many people, so I don't like to go at that time. But if you want to know when I want to travel, you can hit me up on Instagram. If you're interested in a trip to Japan, you can hit me up on Instagram. So guys, these are some of the tips that have helped me to have had like successful trips so far in my life. I hope it will help you too, and I hope you join the family. Join this family. I'm a happy girl, and I'm trying to bring my happiness to you too as well. I preach finance, like how to save money and how to make your life easier. So I'll see you guys in my next one. I hope you stay tuned to my channel, and bye. Let me go back to my coffee.